Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Conclusion Unknown podcast with episode 3. I am James Pavver, going to be joined by Craig Jones again. Craig, how are you, dear sir, today on this fabulous Monday?
It is a fabulous Monday, isn't it? There's even a bit of sun in the sky today. Yeah, I'm very well, James. How about yourself?
I'm very well. Hello, Craig. How are you?
Hello, James. Every week I'm gonna do it in like a different accent now or something. I'm gonna you're gonna hear like German and French and all sorts.
Hello, James. So listen, we're at episode 3, right? First one, we did the flat Earth, round Earth. Then we did the deaths of Paul McCartney, which, you know, let's be honest, we've never really figured out whether or not it was, but we did come up to the conclusion it was just a great big publicity stunt that sold records, basically. And in fact, it sold records twice to some people because people ruined them by rewinding them. So there we go. This week, now there was a comment down on that video, and I did like the comment, to be fair. Somebody can put, can you talk about something else, something serious, something along those lines on the video. So we're going to talk about this Mandela effect, all right? Tell us, how did this even come about?
Well, I've known of the Mandela effect for absolutely years. I remember someone at work telling me all about the Mandela effect, and he was a little bit. He liked. I think he's a little bit like me. He enjoys kind of conspiracies or these weird kind of stuff that happens in the world, but doesn't fully subscribe to them, but has an interest in kind of finding out a little bit more information and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he told me about the Mandela effect, and then as soon as I heard about the Mandela effect, I started kind of seeing it everywhere. I mean, I literally went into the toilets at work and I was like, have we always had 3 soap dispensers? I could have sworn we only ever had 2. And I just started seeing it absolutely everywhere. So yeah, it's an interesting scenario, the Mandela effect, in the sense that, you know, people experience incidents or events that have happened throughout history, or seen things in a certain way when it's never actually been that way. But the interesting thing about the Mandela effect is that it's not just one person that seems to have remembered it that way or seen it that way. You're talking hundreds of thousands, millions of people that remember it a certain way, and then you got the other camp that goes, no, it's always been like that. Where are you getting that information from? So yeah, it's a fascinating subject. It really is.
It is, and we'll give you a brief history of it. Basically, I googled Mandela effect. I just wanted to see what the wonderful world of Google come up with. The Mandela effect occurs when a person believes that their distorted memories are, in fact, accurate recollections. They can clearly remember events that happened differently or events that never occurred at all. Now, one of the reasons why this Mandela effect apparently kicked in was back basically when the Hadron Collider. Now, we know that's out in Austria, I think it is, Geneva. In Switzerland. So, yeah, in Switzerland. And it's a big Cern collider. And really crazy how it all was supposed to develop was basically hundreds of scientists from across the world. Now, this is one other thing that we can all agree on, apparently, the Large Hadron Collider, but we can't agree on, you know, whether or not somebody should live in a country. But apparently, we've all come together, all of these hundreds of scientists from all over the world, from different nations, and they've created this Large Hadron Collider. Now, what this collider does, it basically shoots particles in different directions in a massive tube, right? And it shoots around at the speed of light, which, if to put that into perspective, I can't. Basically, I don't know what the speed of light is. It's as light reflected about something, whatever. But it's really, really fast. Okay, to the point of where you can't see them. And then what they do is they open up both tubes and they go and clash together. All right? This is just basics, guys. Obviously, you know, I'm not a physicist. So I'm giving you the rough estimates of what this does. And basically what they were trying to do was, at one point of what I remember, they were trying to make a black hole. Now, for me personally, I don't like that, partly due to the fact if you make a black hole, it sucks everything into it. No offense. Don't like really being sucked into a different kind of thing. I don't know what it is, right? And that's basically it. Now, the interesting thing about this is when the people believe that when it first fired up in 2008, this is where this timeline swap happened. And this is where they think that it all swapped over. Now, it opened in 2008. It operated in 2010. So they reckon at the first operation, we swapped timelines.
Yeah. What a load of rubbish.
See, I knew that you would say that, right?
Okay.
But there are many things that I remember. And one of the things, the reason it's called the Mandela effect is because it all evolved around the death of Nelson Mandela. For me, he died in 1985. He was in prison. He died in 1985. And that was it. But when you Google when did Nelson Mandela die, they turn around and say he died in 2013 as the president or prime minister of South Africa. This is where it all started from. That was the very first kind of thing and how it got its name. Now, there are hundreds. I researched this over the week, and there are literally hundreds of things that I remember that apparently I'm wrong. By all accounts. My whole memory line. One of the interesting things, though, as well, that I've noticed while having a look through all my little tabs that I'd set up previously, was the fact that all of the Mandela effects I remember were before the Hadron Collider sparked up.
Okay.
So, going to have a look at some. I found a really nice website that basically just lists them all. What we think they are, what they actually are. Okay? Basically, this is where, let me see if I can get this into the screen again. Because modern art technology, nor in the app. Right. So basically what it is the Mandela effect, as we said, is something that happened. Now, starting off, Nelson Mandela's death. When do you remember Nelson Mandela's death?
I'm a little younger than you. Quite a bit younger than you. Do you know what? I can remember it being on the news when he died in 2013, wasn't it?
No, 1985, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, in my version of the parallel universe that we're in or whatever, it was 2013. I remember seeing it on the news channels and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's I can't say I'm very good with dates and stuff before or history, to be fair. So I don't know if I really took any notice of it, but that's how I remember it.
Right, okay. So going into this one, this is basically where it's all kicked off. And people have the Sun newspaper from 1985 or 84, 83, whatever it was 80s. I'm sure it was 85. Basically with the date on saying Nelson Mandela's dead. Okay. That's what they've got as their own form of evidence on. Now, let's remember, guys, if you're listening to this or on any of the platforms or watching this on YouTube, me and Craig ain't scientists. I'm not a time traveler. Craig's not a time traveler. So please, it's just lighthearted. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we are never going to come to a conclusion in this. We are never going to give you the answers to the world. We're never going to give you the answers to world peace. We are literally sitting here debating about whether or not things could be true. Okay? Generally, Craig's always wrong, but we won't worry too much about it. So,
And that's something else you believe that's not true.
Hey, that's the Mandela effect. I'm always right, you're always wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. So Mandela's death, you remember 2013, I remember 1985. Now, this is the one for me. Britney Spears' headset in the song Oops, I Did It Again. Did she have a headset?
See, again, that's not a detail I would ever have remembered from a video of that nature.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I was probably looking at other stuff, James.
Was the birth of the internet.
In that particular video, is what I'm going to add.
Right, okay. So I did some research on this because I remember Britney Spears with a microphone, right? She had a microphone. I think as she was looking at the camera, it was coming down her right side, and she'd always had it. Now, one of the things that confuses me about this is they actually sold a doll with the microphone. Okay, the doll had the microphone that went with it. Now, I did find a video. Hold on, I've got to try and get to the point of cutting here. Oh, yeah, they sold a doll with the microphone. But if the microphone never existed, why was it with the doll?
Well, I would assume to make it look more like a singer, to make it more look like Britney Spears.
But if she never had the microphone, why would she need the microphone in with the doll?
Because it was being sold to a kids market.
So, what you think that they?
Why does the toy have to be exactly the same as the real life?
Because that's what people want, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean? I don't want Action Man in a non-army uniform, do I? I don't want Action Man in, I don't know, stripy pants for. Do I?
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I'm no Barbie expert, but there was lots of different ranges of Barbie, and what Barbie was, or her job role, or however they worked with Barbie. I only know this because I watched the film recently.
What's the Barbie film?
Yeah. But for me, what you're talking about would just simply be to make it look more realistic and make it look more like Britney Spears.
Right. Okay. Now I've lost my video, which is really quite annoying for the fact, but I have found multiple others. For me, I remember Britney Spears having a microphone. She'd always had one. She was, without a doubt, having one. That and it was always there. Now, she she's obviously come out and said I didn't have one, but apparently, go back. Right, right. So that is the Britney Spears doll, right? And basically, there she is in her red outfit with the microphone in there as well. And I remember her fully having the microphone. Okay, so that was for me why she'd always had this microphone. She always had it. It was on the side of her face. Now, obviously, she's come out and obviously gone, well, I didn't. Others have gone, did. Others have gone, no, you didn't. Now, there is one woman that went to the ends of the earth, proved that the Monopoly Man had a monocle. What's your take on that?
So again, I mean, you're choosing examples that I don't think I've ever really kind of taken note either way. I would probably go towards my memory of he did have one.
But he doesn't.
But he doesn't.
But he did.
In my mind, he did.
Yeah, my mind he did. So are we both
Yeah.
saying we're schizophrenic?
No, for me, there as always, there's a scientific reason for all of this. But yeah, I like I said at the start, I can't deny that I've not had the feeling of Mandela effect. So another example is Pikachu's tail.
All right. Before we
I
go
would
to
always
Pikachu's
be
tail,
adamant.
yeah. Before we go to Pikachu's tail, this lady went absolutely crazy. Was literally in therapy. She was told by the therapist to basically back up. You've got to let it go. You've got to make sure, look after your health and all this sort of thing. And I've just sent a video. She went absolutely nuts. She spoke to an avid Monopoly collector. Now, I'm going to see if we can get the voice on this video. This is the young lady here as well. So bear with me just while I... Right. Little bit of sound issue. Now, on this lady went to World's End.
Have the Monopoly Man's monocle in my hand. I spent too much time and too much money tracking down a 1996 Waddlington Jr. Monopoly board because apparently the $2 bill has the Monopoly Man with a monocle on the man. It will open more doors than it closes because it proves that it does exist. It's not part of our imagination, but how is it wiped from almost everything on the internet, every single board game? Something is happening. Shout out to Neil, who's the world record holder for Monopoly board games owned. He owns almost 4,000, and he's gonna help me figure out if any other board games have the monocle. Truly don't believe there is a man who can better help us at this time of need than him. The last time I will absolutely lose my mind if an American says we're just confusing it with Mr. Peanuts, because America does not make up most of the world. Most of the world remembers the monocle, and Mr. Peanuts didn't even make it to the UK till 2016. I'll let you guys look first. We did it. We found the monocle. Have the Monopoly Man's.
So she went to the extent of reaching out to the world's largest Monopoly collector, and on a $2 bill, she found the monocle. This woman has gone crazy about it. You can see it in her eyes. She looks tired. She looks knackered. She feels like she's going to freak the hell out. But I remember the monocle as well. And it's always been there. He had it on his left eye. But she's found it in a $2 bill. So how do we explain the fact that she's found it in a $2 bill? They're coming out and saying it didn't exist, but yet clearly it did exist.
Is that I've not managed to, the way that we're doing, I've not managed to see it from both sides, but does it show it on? Oh yeah, it does. I've just found it. Yeah, see what she's showing in that picture is what I remember it being. Yeah, I mean, could that be something down to a logo change where they've decided to not have it? I mean, they do funny stuff with logos and branding and stuff like that all the time. So I don't know. But again, is this could this not be some sort of like extreme publicity stunt as well? I mean, you've got two guys talking on the internet years later about Monopoly.
It could be.
You just never know, do you?
Now, I want to have another video set up of a guy who actually... Now, I don't know whether or not this one for me is a little bit up in arms. He basically filmed, he had his video running on a book called The Berenstain Bears. Now, you might not obviously remember the Berenstain Bears, Craig, as apparently you're too young again. Basically, it's a book. Now, This is proof of the Mandela effect. This guy filmed this book this is the thing that got me. He managed to film the book at the exact moment the letters changed on it. Right?
I don't even like to be in this room anymore. When I sleep in here, you look at that. That shit is changing. It is changing. Remember when this...
Right. So that changes right in front of our eyes. For me, that video all seems a little bit weird, partly due to the fact that he would have had to have his phone on exactly the moment of these Mandela effects happening. Yeah?
Yeah. I think he's very good with a video editor.
I kind of agree. I have to agree with you on that one, partly because I think
you can kind of see
it seems a bit
it's quite
far-fetched.
grainy.
Yeah.
When he slows it down, that particular bit with the letter changing is actually quite grainy. So yeah, you can clearly see it frame by frame. It's just been changed.
Yeah. Now I agree with you. Now, one of the biggest things. Do you ever remember a film called Shazam?
No, but in my research ahead of today's episode, I did see this one. Yeah, so I know roughly what you're talking about.
Sinbad.
Yes.
Starred in the movie Shazam. He's come out and said the movie never existed. It was called Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal as the genie. And it didn't exist. And then there was a scene from the movie that apparently had load of Mandela effects in it, along with the Berenstain Bears. There was the death of Nelson Mandela in a newspaper. There was lots of other things that basically were in this film. Now, he's come out and said it didn't exist. Now, one of the people in this film is this young gentleman. And again, let me just pop you over. And it's about 6 seconds if you pause it on the front cover. This young gentleman here, this young lad, is a actor and has been in Home Improvements. If you ever remember the TV series Home Improvements, this was one of the children. Now, I've looked on this young man's IMDb, and this movie isn't on. So I thought, could it actually be him? So I found an old picture from Home Improvements. I'll bring in shot now. And basically, you can see that the imagery of this picture is the young lad in the film, in the movie Shazam. So there he is in the front here, this young kid. He's even got his cap on backwards as well. As far as I'm concerned, him and him are the same individual. It looks exactly the same. Got his cap on backwards as well. He looks incredibly same there. In his IMDb, however, it doesn't have Shazam listed as his film. Doesn't have it. It hasn't had it. So again, this was one of the things that people are talking about. Obviously, they're more focusing on Sinbad and the fact that Sinbad was in the film, right? Not about the fact of who the cast was or anything along that lines. It was just literally about the fact that Sinbad was in it. Now, he's come out and gone, no. As I say, the young lad, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, it's not listed on his IMDb. In fact, if you look on his IMDb, this film doesn't list on his IMDb that he even did anything back there as well. But I want to ask you a question here that I think could be quite relevant. Why are all of the Mandela effects before the Hadron Collider first fired up?
Are they though?
Yes.
Have we actually looked for evidence of
right.
ones
So-
that have happened?
Listen, Shazam was before, Britney Spears was before, Mandela was before. What else was there? There was the painting of Henry VIII. Luke, I Am Your Father was before. Mirror, Mirror on the Wall was before. The weirdest thing for me is somebody's actually put the location in New Zealand, but I don't know about that one. Pikachu's tail was before. Mickey Mouse, did he have suspenders? Looney Tunes was before. Jiffy Peanut Butter, Curious George, Fruit Loops, Cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo. C-3PO's leg was randomly silver. I never, ever remember it being silver. He was all gold. To the point where... My Lego man says he's all gold. Has a silver leg. No, I don't ever remember him having a silver leg, but apparently he had a silver leg all along. Now, I don't ever remember that, and my Lego man C-3PO doesn't have a silver leg either. So, hey, I don't know about that.
So ask yourself this question then, right? If this machine that we know exists does open up to a parallel world or universe, or however you want to, or however, why would his leg be a different color in that alternative reality? I don't get why. What's the point? So if the theory is that we're crossing over these realities at every point, why would a reality have a different robot in Star Wars to our current reality, if that kind of makes sense?
Do you know the weirdest thing about that, right, is I can't answer that question. I think what people are saying about this is when the collider started up and they first fired the particles going round, what people are saying is they actually did create the black hole, which changed the way and pulled the world into it. Now, it happened so fast that we didn't see it, which is fair enough, right? I can't disprove that. I can't say that that's what happened. But things like that is, if C-3PO had a silver leg, and so the thing is, he said, that's right, C-3PO, the famed Star Wars droid, has a silver leg, but we won't blame you for getting this one wrong, given the low resolution of older films, the character often being shot from the waist up, and the fact that the original line of toys featured an all-gold C-3PO is no surprising how it is to discover he had a silver leg, right? He didn't, as far as I'm concerned, if he had a silver leg, I would have seen it on my Lego man. As we know, Lego Go is about as true in real life as possible. And if you can't see or you haven't looked behind me, I've got Lego for days here. There's more over here that's literally covering my whole shelf. I can't answer why we would sit back and say we've changed reality. But when you look more and more deeper into it, you say that people that they're saying that they created the black hole that sucked us in so quick we didn't realize. We've changed onto an alternative reality, and now we've got all of these different memories that we had previously. And could it be real? That's the thing. Could it be a true thing that this could have happened? We hear about 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, dimensional layers of the world, timelines, people in other dimensions. We've discussed this when we briefly touched on it in the Flat Earth debate, was, both me and you don't think we're alone, which seems crazy that we would be in a universe that's this big. But could this have happened? Could we know that? Could they have actually created the black hole that sucked the world in at such a speed of light that we didn't know it happened?
But that was actually leading me on to a question. So if scientists have created this black hole and this happened, would the scientists know that happened?
No.
and that's where for me it just kind of it falls apart a little bit, that it is stretching at a theory at best. Like, you know, I think there's lots of stuff that we, you know, if you look at like the Matrix and stuff like that, there's lots of this idea has been created before and has been suggested to us, hence why we kind of easily jump to conclusions around that. I guess it is going back to, you know, what we spoke about before, isn't it? We will probably we may never know. You can't prove it and you can't disprove it either way.
No, it just, I think
you can have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I think it just makes it interesting. Now, this is the there's a lovely website that basically lists all that are basic have or we perceive. Now, we'll run through these bit by bit. Now, obviously, the original one that we talked about was the death of Nelson Mandela. Was it 1985? Was it 2013? Well, honestly, I remember it in 1985. Now, some of the weird things here was Henry VIII eating a turkey leg painted. I don't ever remember him a turkey leg. I was just, I don't know, maybe I didn't pay attention in school or something at that point. I don't remember him having a turkey leg. This is the one that freaks me out. You killed my father. Luke, I am your father.
Right, okay.
Does he say, Luke, I am your father?
So I remember growing up as a kid with like playing Star Wars with my brother or whatever, or my friends. And I always remember saying, Luke, I am your father. That's how I always remembered it.
I remember that as well. To the point of where it freaked me out when I thought this can't be true. He doesn't turn around and go, no, I am your father. And I was like, no, that can't be right. You know what I mean? Like an avid Star Wars fan. And I was like, ruined my world. You know what I mean? Because like I even joked to my kids and go, boys, I am your father. Or I put their names on it and, you know, I just go like, Henry, I am your father. So for me, this was a big one. Like this, I rushed back out to my TV. I whacked on Star Wars and he says, no, I am your father. I was like, that can't be. Something's wrong. He always said, Luke, I am your father. And I'm sure people are going to be down in the comment section on, you know, the shorts and stuff like that going, yeah, he said, Luke, I am your father. He said, Luke, I am your father. But again, it was before the Hadron Collider started up that this actually came out. This film was produced.
But again, why would that change the words of a movie? I just don't get it. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. It really doesn't.
It doesn't. But I'm not the only one. If it was just me in a corner of the room, then I'd be sitting there going, hey, I'm schizophrenic. But I'm not the only one.
But there is science behind the Mandela effect. So they have.
I don't want to ask this question, but go for it. Tell me.
Right. So there's been various studies that have shown that people, where they're asked to recall an event, every single person pretty much will always recall an event wrong. So if they ask you to list 100 events, you're pretty guaranteed at some point you're going to recall an event wrong. That's the results of the study. Okay. So the way our brains work, and I'm not even going to begin to explain it because I'm not a neuroscientist or anything like that, but the way that where we store our memories, we can recall stuff incorrectly, which is a probable cause for the Mandela effect. The other one, and I actually wrote this, down, is suggestibility, which is a word apparently. I've never heard of this word, but it is a word. And the meaning of that is the tendency to believe what others suggest to be true. Now, what you mentioned it before, we live in the age of the internet, and we have videos like we've just seen where a book cover randomly changes in front of our very eyes, and bits and pieces like that. So suggestibility is so powerful. That's why when you see these court cases and scenes and stuff like that with someone cross-examining a witness or something like that, they're not allowed to ask questions in a certain way because it can actually manipulate the mind. Now, this might be another one for another video or something like that, but you've got stuff like neuro-linguistic programming. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, so NLP for short. You know, that is used, that's really, really powerful, and can make people, can be suggestive to people of certain things and make things do bits and pieces. I remember going to a seminar type thing at work once where we had these two guys on stage who were like the kings of selling and manipulating people to do stuff that you shouldn't really be kind of doing. I won't mention a company because that will sound a bit like that's what we did, but we didn't. They were just trying to prove a point. And you know, they had the whole, there must have been 1,000 people in this venue that we're at, and they were doing silly stuff like, you know, put your hand on your head, and then they said, now touch your chin, and they'd do that, and every single person around the room would be putting their finger on their nose when he said put your finger on your chin. And it's just stuff like that. And they've done lots of other stuff that, you know, I won't go into, but I was kind of like, it's so easy to put words in people's minds and put images in people's minds of how something was when it's not actually the reality of it. So there's that element. And then finally, there's the element of I'm right, you're wrong. You know, that's what you know, most stuff boils down to. If people feel that they're right about something, like the woman with the Monopoly eyepiece and stuff like that, they will go to extreme lengths to defend their point of view on it. The more people that get kind of influenced by that and sort of digest that information, the more rumors start to spread. I mean, let's face it, they can be rumors. How quickly does a rumor spread? Rapidly. So if I was to say, you know, James Parfitt is a woman, you know, on the internet, I've just said it, that, you know, if we had a big enough following, that could easily go around the internet as I'm sure that's not something you want being spread about, but it just came to my head.
Tell you what, I grow a good beard for a woman, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know you do. I do. You do. That you remind me of the woman that lives down the road from me. But yeah, the human mind is an interesting subject in its own, and I think there's definite. Again, it, like I said before, it boils down to the why, doesn't it? Why would an alternative reality be? Why would words in a script of a movie be different? Why would the alternative realities even be having the same movie? I don't know. It just seems a little far-fetched to me. To me, it's just a little bit of trickery in the mind. It's the way our mind operates and how we conjure up these memories from a long time ago. And as we get older, our memories start to go a little bit iffy as well.
Oh, darling.
So
right, you ain't blaming all this on my age. At the end of the day, things have got to be coming out, and people have got to are realizing things more and more. Now, obviously, with this effect as well, people are coming out and, you know, it's a government thing. They're trying to change history to see if they were. Personally, it was all, as far as I was concerned, it was literally apparently down to this Hadron Collider, and it started the whole thing. Now, we could run through every Mandela effect, but we would be here for a very long time. Now, some of the other ones that I think are most noticeable is in Snow White. What did she say to the mirror?
Oh, see, your Luke, I am your father one. This is the one for me, because how many you hear kids, you've even seen it in other movies where they go, mirror, mirror on the wall. But that's not what actually was stated in it. It was actually magic mirror. And that one blows my mind, because that's how I've always remembered it. It's such a famous saying from a film, and it was never said.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Now, one of the other things I want to go into as well is we've got about 20 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we're going to cover this one. Pikachu.
Yes. He definitely had a black bit on his tail.
Mhm.
100% it
Oh, no.
existed. I again, it's one of those ones that I can't accept that he never had a black bit on the end of
All
his
right.
tail.
It leads to the question then: if you can't accept he had a black bit on the end of his tail, and I can't accept the fact that he said, "Luke, I am your father," are we both crazy?
No, I don't think we're crazy. Like I said, the science would dictate. So that to me is.
I swear you put way too much trust in science.
It's suggestive.
It's suggestive
But
that half a
James,
million, 2 million, 5 million, 20 million, 30 million people in the world know Pikachu to have a black tail.
But the reason me and you can have this conversation from separate parts of the UK.
Well, you're 1,000 feet below me, apparently. So,
and
hello,
let's
mate.
not bring that up again. Broadcast this out to the world is through science.
It's through the internet and YouTube.
But we never had this years ago. So it's technology and science and research that has got us to this point.
You know what? As much as I would love to say, and I'd love our roles to be reversed at some point here, because at the moment I'm looking like a complete conspiracy freak, the crazy guy James Buffett. You know, and I'm looking a bit crazy at the moment here because it's always me who seems to be on the way of a conspiracy, but you're just like science. I'm like, no, it's not science. I don't care. This is one I can't get out of my head. Pikachu always had a black tail, regardless of what people say. He always had a black tail. So where do we then look at it and go, all right, what's real and what's us being freaky crazy in the head here? Where do we find the line that says, okay, you're going mentally nuts, or you are on the right trail and this is what happened? How do we do this situation? Like, I know you said mind manipulation, and we see propaganda from the BBC and other TV networks and newspapers all the time telling us this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is going to happen. But this seems a big thing that if my memory of Pikachu is him going, Pikachu, with his black tail, or black end of his tail, I should say, not all of his tail, you remember it as well. But everything we look at in the modern day world that we're looking at right now, he doesn't have it. So where do we cross the line on, me and you are going absolutely nuts, or something's happened in the world that we don't know?
No, well, for me, so the Pikachu one, the way I think I would explain it in my head is that obviously he's got black features in his character, hasn't he? So his ears and
he's got his ears and eyes, according to a picture, Craig. You surely cannot put black from an ear onto a tail.
I think you could. I just think it would make sense in my mind. It would make sense to have a little bit of the black. So if you think of something like I don't know. Like, well, let's stick with the theme, like a zebra, like how it's black, white, black, white. I don't know.
It's white, black, head, white, black, but okay.
Right, okay. Yeah, whatever. But for me, as a, if I was to draw Pikachu and create it for the first time in my mind, I would have put a black bit at the end of his tail, I think.
Yeah. Because
it looks better.
No, I think because it was. I think it was just, I just got a funny feeling it was there. Right, one of the other ones I want to check out is Looney Tunes. Okay. How was Looney Tunes spelt? For me, T-O-O-N-S, always.
Do you know what? Again, I can't really recall ever seeing that differently. I mean, I'm looking at the image now, but again, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's certain stuff that people pick up on. So you've mentioned quite a bit, like, you know, like Britney Spears and stuff like that. I would never. Why anyone would be watching a Britney Spears video and looking at a microphone? I don't get it. I don't know why. Because it's just little bits of detail that I just don't seem to take in, to be honest.
Because that's what people can obviously remember, is the fact that She had a microphone. You know, there's other things that, you know, people go into, the lengths that we go into. There was the Fruit of the Loom. Did it have a cornucopia? Did it not have a cornucopia? People are saying it did. It come out to the point of where Fruit and the Loom actually went and posted a timeline of all of their logos. Again, this same scenario, and I'll try and find the video really quickly. Hold on. To the point where there was a woman who hunted through all of her clothes and went through every single part of her clothing that she could possibly find that she remembers the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo. She found it on the inside of a t-shirt that had the cornucopia logo. Now, for me, obviously, I remember it having the cornucopia. Now, personally, obviously, I don't have any Fruit of the Loom items of clothing that I can go and look through, but she went nuts. It seems to be the same as the lady for the Monopoly Man. She went absolutely crazy. I'm trying to find a video that I had, and now I physically cannot find it. But she had, she found the cornucopia. What do you remember about the Fruit of the Loom logo?
But again, why are people remembering that sort of detail? That's what.
Do you walk around the world with your eyes shut, Craig?
No, but
do you know that there's a crack in your pavement outside?
So I haven't, you know, again, I don't think I own a piece of clothing from that particular brand. But even if I did, I don't think I would have studied the logo enough to remember whether it featured that in it or not. Looking at the images side by side, I mean, it does look better with it. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know. So you say in this video that you can't find, she found a piece of clothing with it.
She found a piece of clothing with the cornucopia. I'm still trying to find it. Bear with me. I did have it. Right. And she found a piece of clothing that had this this logo, and she went apparently nuts. Absolutely crazy trying to find it. Kind of like how same woman with the thingy, the Monopoly. In fact, unfortunately, by looking at her face, it looks like the exact same woman from the Monopoly. This woman needs to lighten up a little bit here as well. So there's the video here as well. And basically, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's give it a listen. See, I know YouTube are not going to like us, but let's have a listen.
Attempting to get to the bottom of Mandela effect. The Loom has made multiple public statements saying the cornucopia was never a part of their logo. After scouring the internet for hours, I finally found a picture of the logo with the cornucopia in it. People argue.
So you get to the grey t-shirt bit. There's the picture that she found with the cornucopia logo.
That someone handmade this for attention, but why does the cornucopia look exactly how I remember it? People argue that if the cornucopia was real, there would still be thousands, if not millions, of garments that still have the logo. So why can I only find one image of the logo? I'm so lost on this one because theoretically a company could scrub the internet of their logo, but it's not like they could have gotten into all of our underwear drawers and changed the logo on our underwear. Next up, we have the Raisin Brand Sun.
So she basically seems more crazier than I do. With going to the in-depths of finding all of these things, right? Because at the end of the day, she seems like she goes well into depths on all of it. It's like the Mandela effect has literally freaked her out to the point of where she's borderline nuts, I think, about everything. She goes hunting for all of it. Now, for me, I think it's a difficult one because I don't really remember the Fruit of the Loom logo as probably clear as some of the viewers, some of the people at home, some of the things that, you know, others may remember. I don't really remember whether or not it had a cornucopia or not, to be rightfully honest. What do you think?
So if that's the only evidence we can find, then that's fairly weak evidence.
I agree.
In my point of view. So purely for the fact that, you know, I think she suggested in there that someone's made the logo on the back of that T-shirt or whatever particular piece of clothing it was. And it's almost the same as the Monopoly one, isn't it? You know, I'm not being funny, but you could probably get someone to print that and send it to you and make it look like it's come out of an old Monopoly box and stuff like that. Why would someone go to those extreme lengths? Well, if you look at the amount of followers and likes and stuff that she's got on her profile, and again, there's two guys on the internet now talking about her.
Well, yeah, we haven't mentioned her name, to be blatantly honest. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care.
It's irrelevant, yeah.
I don't know if it had a cornucopia. I wouldn't know. But I do know Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Sex and the City?
So it was always Sex in the City for me.
In the City.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember it as well.
But I can understand that it's very close, isn't it? The wording. So I think I mentioned it last week in the Paul McCartney one, is about misheard song lyrics and how we can easily kind of
go on, sorry.
Interpret a song lyric to sound like something or suggest, what's my word, suggestibility of that's the words that are being said when in fact the lyrics are very different. There's even a website about it that lists all the misheard song lyrics that people have subscribed to over the years.
Okay. Misheard song lyrics I'll go into really quickly. I want to cover this one here because this is another one that freaked me out. Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
Hello, Clarice. In reality, apparently, he said good morning. He never, ever said good morning in Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice. That's what he would say. And he never, ever, ever, and I do not care who you are, did never, ever say good morning. He was a nutter. Freak out nutter. Never in him up for Sundays. He never said good morning. He said hello, Clarice.
I can't recall that one. So
for God's sake!
I can't comment on that one.
Somebody get on the show who I can have a debate with. I've got Craig who walks around with his eyes shut.
The probability is that you're wrong. Let's face it, because you're wrong about everything else. So I would say you've got that one wrong as well. Interesting finger movement there, James.
I'm scratching my beard, mate.
Yeah,
scratching
of
my
course
beard.
you are.
Yeah. All right. Do you remember the film Risky Business?
No.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
What I would say, right, with films,
give up trying to talk to you
I
about.
probably have seen them. Well, yeah, that, because I probably have seen them, but I can never remember the titles of them.
Right. This one. This is the one for me. This is the defining crown of the jewel.
Go
on. Jewel of the crown? Crown jewels? Whatever. We are the champion of the world.
Yeah, this has been debunked though, hasn't it?
Go on, tell me more.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure there is a album version and then there's a radio version. In fact, I'm going to Google it.
Oh God, yeah, because Google's going to tell us the truth in a Mandela effect moment, isn't it? Do you know the interesting thing is that's the weirdest thing, right? Since I researched, did all the research that we're doing for these episodes. My whole feed on social media and a famous clip platform that we're all aware of, TIK, has come up with videos debunking everything we're talking about. Like, there is not one video that I originally watched in conjunction with Paul McCartney, and all I've got is debunking videos. And when I did it for the Flat Earth, all I had was Flat Earth debunk, Flat Earth debunk, Flat Earth debunk, debunk. And it's like all of a sudden, my whole feed is just filled up with things of people debunking everything that I hunt for. And it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
They're watching.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just having a quick Google now. So the first one that comes up is basically this idea that at the end of the song on a radio edit would fade off But I definitely have 100% seen it. I should have thought about it before we came on, to be honest. That there was 2 versions of the song, one for radio and one for the recording, and that's why people remember it differently.
I was laying in bed the other day with a wife, and she was doing what all wives do in bed, flicking through Instagram stories, and the song was on the video. Hold on, let me shut my window. I've got a neighbour lawn mowing out of Lincoln Garden here. No offence, mate, but we're trying to record a podcast here. Behave yourself. And the song was "We Are the Champions." And it got to the end of the song, and I was just sitting there listening, and I just wanted to see what it did, because it turns around and says, "We are the champions." That's where it cuts off, apparently, and everybody, all of us are going crazy. But it actually played, "We are the champions of the world." Now, I said to my wife about it, who, as we know, can have a different mindset on things that me and you do, right? She... I don't know. Wives are wives.
Very carefully worded there.
Yes. And she even turned around and said, "No, that one was debunked, James. Apparently there was 2 versions of it." Now, for my wife to come out and say that, I was like, whoa, hold on. Hold on, I'm in a Mandela effect. Now you're a scientist. I'm sure you weren't like that yesterday. But she came out and said there was 2 versions of the song. One that was played, "We Are the Champions of the World," and the other one that just ended as "We Are the Champions." So I think this is one that really freaked me out, right? How many states are there in America?
Oh, I don't know, actually. 50, was it 52 or something?
Yeah. Right? 52. You've just said it live on camera.
Yeah.
Okay? Apparently, the correct answer is 50. Obviously.
I'm trying to remember the Friends episode now.
Yeah, it says obviously, but some Americans and foreigners alike recall learning that there was 51 or 52 states. I'm sure there's 52 stars on the flag. I'm not even American.
Yeah. 50. I don't know why I said 52. It just rings.
Because that's what you remember.
Of hearing people say there's 52 states, I guess. I'm with you.
What, is there ever a day where you're going to turn around and go, "That's a conspiracy"?
Probably not, because there's science behind a lot of stuff.
Human time.
But this is my point. So me growing up. So how long has that flag been there for? And how long have they had states? Hundreds of years, probably.
I agree.
So if someone got it wrong once and then passed that information on to somebody else, and then they pass that information on to someone else, that's how rumors spread. That's how crazy ideas spread that the Earth is flat. That's how this is where it all comes from.
I tell you what, if you, this is where it all comes from. I think sometimes in the world we put too much faith in what we're being told, right? And we're getting told all of these things as well, like, science. Science is the be-all and end-all. Science is the world. Science is everything. No, it's not. It's just I'm heavier than the air around me. So that's why I stay my ass on the floor. But there's got to be a time when you've got to step away and open your eyes up and think, actually, okay, so why is that? Why did I just come out with 52 and yet there's 50? Because that's what you're told. There was 52 states in the American flag. There was 52 stars on the American flag. You can't just sit there and go, science. It's all science. Can you?
Okay, right. So so we'll use this example. There's 52 states. Okay, so we'll just accept that. So the logical explanation of people have misheard it and then it's passed on and it's become the norm, versus there's some device in Switzerland somewhere, wherever it is, that's created a black hole and the whole world's been sucked into it and created this alternate reality where everything's now different. What sounds more logical to you? I base, so as you probably guess, I am into a bit of science and so I like science because it explains stuff that I can't logically explain.
You can't.
But I base everything. I base all my judgments as much as I possibly can of what I can see, what I can physically see, what I can physically hear, what I can physically touch. And for me, I know that people get the wrong end of the stick about things all the time, and that's how stuff like this can be suggestibility. Looking at my notes again, it's a real thing. Google it, suggestibility.
I'm not gonna.
It's
I don't
banned
need.
from courtrooms.
I don't think I need to Google it. I think that you're being suggested. Whichever way you want to put it, suggestibility is the same thing that you're being told. You're being suggested that there's only 50 stars, right? And you can Google it, and there is. It says 50, but there was 51 added when Hawaii or something somewhere became an American state. I can't find exactly where I've just seen that, but there was 50 on it, and there was as each new state was admitted to the Union, star was added to the flag. The current 50-star flag acknowledging Hawaii's admission. Has there ever been 52? No, apparently, is the official answer. No, there hasn't. I remember 52, you remember 52, but according to us, we're both going crazy and it's just science. So, where are we going to draw the conclusion on this, and where are we ever going to realise or suggest that science is built up of layers and 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 layers of theories over the time. Within the last 1900, as a world, we have developed into this great technological, mindful know-how that apparently makes us wonderful and great, and physics does this, and you're a carbon-based water transformative life form, and the earth is round, the earth is flat, whatever. It just seems that we as a world are so reliant on people making up theories and then coming out going, oh yeah, that could work. Let's go and suggestibility it to Craig Jones, who's going to go and rant about it on the internet. It just seems sometimes that we have to realize the world is not necessarily as we see it, surely.
But why? It's
why?
I've asked this question on every single episode.
If they're going to release it, and they've released it because they don't want to be wrong. It's like that thing you said earlier on in this episode. You've always got to be right. And they don't want to be wrong, so therefore they make it and cover it and cover it and cover it. JFK's murder, covered up completely. We'll do that one because I am infatuated with the JFK murder. I watched the film the other day again with Kevin Costner for the 50th time. That goes on for about three and a half hours. But it is a cover up on a lot of things. The world as we know it, there are people in this world who go out their way to physically cover up stuff. And I believe that we all, as a collective, you cannot have 30, 40, 50, 60, a billion people of this world all saying, Star Wars says, Luke, I am your father. And then all of a sudden saying, no, that's not what he wants. Because that's technically 1 billion schizophrenics who remember one thing and don't remember the other thing.
So what have all those billion people got in common?
Well, we're all schizophrenics according to science. Because
we've all got a brain with memories.
Yeah, but we've all got a brain with memory. But you can't physically say that's a large amount of the population that you're saying are wrong, that you're saying are remembering things in a completely different way.
So we can only say they're wrong based on watching the movie back and looking for that particular scene where it clearly doesn't state it.
Why?
What you're suggesting is that there is somehow another timeline in another world.
Can you not honestly believe that there would be another timeline?
No. Why? No, nonsense.
So why do you believe in three-dimensional objects?
What do you mean, why do I believe in three-dimensional
Why do you
objects?
believe in three-dimensional objects?
Because I can see it.
But you can't see timeline. So are you saying that other timelines are not real?
I don't believe that there is a parallel world to our existence, or multiple ones, as the multiple universes they say it is. I don't see that.
But you're a man of space. Surely you can see that once we go down a
Well,
black hole, there's another timeline.
when you start looking at like quantum mechanics and stuff like that, so I understand where these theories come from, and I'm not even going to start on quantum mechanics. I've tried. I've done a beginner's video on it, and I give up after about 2-3 minutes. I just couldn't get my head around it at all. So it's really complicated stuff. But yeah, I just don't see it, or perhaps there's part of me that doesn't want to believe it.
So you,
because let's face it, if that is true, that's actually quite a scary kind of thing to be putting out there, isn't it?
yeah. But it's that same kind of thing as why would they? Is because they don't want to be proven wrong. Why would
who be proven wrong?
the scientists that come up with physics or quantum mechanics or particles, this and all that, and they don't want to be proven wrong regarding. It's like we have said before, and we both agreed this last time as well. Science is built up of loads of knowledge and theories that people have put together and said, right, that's right. Isn't it? That's what science is.
It is, but then like I always put the little disclaimer on there. For me, it's only what we understand of it so far.
Right. But maybe we don't understand as much as we think. And that's where the cover-up comes from, is because people will say that this has happened, but we don't actually understand it. So therefore, is it real? Is it not? Well, we'll tell them this because we've got to try and control the population. If we all of a sudden come out and say science is a made-up load of rubbish because we don't actually know, it's all just theories, hence we've got a theory of gravity, it's going to be World War III, and it will be a massive overthrow for the world. So it's all about control.
I'm conscious of the time, obviously, on this, but what I'd come back with, so there's this whole theory about controlling the population and keeping the population down and killing people and murdering people and stuff like that with science, right? So the only thing that as you said that came into my mind. So, look at me recently. So I've had a cardiac arrest, ended up in a coma, and I've had a device fitted in my chest, which will effectively give me an electric shock if it happens again. That's science working to save somebody's life, not so if there was an agenda to keep the population down, why would science have, we didn't have defibs going back decades ago. They didn't exist. Our understanding of the human body and the medications that have been created and the procedures that have been created is what saved my life.
But that isn't.
It wasn't there to. Surely they would have just finished me off. They would have went, well, hey, it's working. He's a goner.
But that isn't due to science. That's due to medical expertise and the understanding of the body.
It's science.
No, it's not science.
It is science. It isn't science. How can that not be science?
So we're comparing physical particles and quantum physics to medical exploration of the body. How the body works.
But we are particles.
Do we have electrical currents through our body?
Yes.
Okay, so we have electrical currents through our body. At the end of the day, we know that one of the main things that the body thrives on is currents that come from the mind. And at the end of the day, we know that if we stick an electric shock into the heart, it will keep it beating to a degree and wake him up. Right? That's just rough. So now we've got to look at where the lines of science and where the lines of this different categories of science is drawn, right? So we've got medical science, which proves that the human body can survive under certain procedures. We've got medical medication that proves that are nothing more than placebos and everything else. Yeah. We've got, science that apparently tells us the world is this and the world is that, and we're this and that and this and that. But yet, if you cross-reference one form of science to the cross-reference of the medical science, you'll have two completely conflicting opinions. So which one's right and which one's wrong? The science that you're saying that the Hadron Collider could not have possibly caused the black hole, but we don't know if it did, which is the main, let's figure this out, right? Which is the main purpose of this CERN collider, is it not? To develop and clash particles together to have, to try and make a black hole or protons, particle as matter kind of thing. True?
Yeah.
Right. So how do we know they didn't?
We don't. But how did they know that they did? That's what I'm going back to before.
That's the thing. That's the thing. When this whole Hadron Collider thing come out, people were saying like, you're asking it to induce and develop a black hole which could suck the world in. That doesn't seem fun to me. Like, why would you?
It doesn't.
Why is science going down that road? It's ridiculous.
I guess to try and understand more of it, but I know there was also quite a lot of, let's say, high-profile scientists, astrophysicists, and all that kind of stuff saying that they thought it was a bad idea to be doing it.
Yeah.
So in kind of support of what you're saying.
Somebody supports me.
Whether you know they've done it or not, I guess
I
don't want to get close enough to it to see it from my own eyes.
I think that's the thing. As a world, with this Mandela effect, with all of these conspiracies that we're going down, right? There's always a thing that I remember. One thing that my mother always said to me when I would deny the fact that me and my sister have had a fight or whatever, you know, and I've buffed my sister, and there's a bruise on her arm. Mum always used to say to me, there's no smoke without fire. If we are having an internet-fueled revelation of all of this smoke coming out, and it goes into every form of conspiracy theory that we're going to cover, when do we sit back and say, there can't be this much smoke without fire?
Again, you know, I think I can sit here and I can argue that point.
Go on then, go for it. I'll tell you what, we'll make it a longer one. We'll give it 5 minutes.
The reason why I wanted to do this was to hopefully bring some kind of. Obviously, we agreed completely last week with the Paul is dead.
Yeah, that was propaganda.
That's you know, we don't believe it, but you know, I want to bring what I feel I want to be. I certainly don't want to come on here and promote conspiracy theories because that's not my motivation behind it.
Oh, you better find another host. See you later.
My motivation is to hopefully bring some kind of balance to it. In the sense of, you know, that there is scientific reasons behind this. There is what you know, going back to the flat earth, like, you know, I can, like I said, I can look up at the sky and I can see Jupiter's round and Saturn's round, and I can see all these things with my own eyes. I don't need the internet to tell me. I don't need anyone else to. That's how I operate. I look at the fact that I can see.
That is all you see.
We're not.
That is all you see.
We're not going back into it.
I know, but that's all you see. Whenever you're looking up at the moon, that's what you see. Whenever you're looking at Jupiter, Neptune, that's all they see. You don't know that if you go around the other side, you see that. I'm not saying promote vape juice by any way either. But what I'm saying is that's all you see. You only ever see the round side. But this is where we go. Right, we're going to go off topic just a little bit because we've got to wrap this up as well. We're going for an hour and 15 minutes here as well. Mandela effect. Let's have a final conclusion as your dog's going nuts in the background there. Mandela effect. True? False? Where are we on this side of the fence? What are we going to do? And we'll wrap it up this way.
I think it's explainable for the reasons that I suggested before.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will never be a time on the Conclusion Unknown podcast where Craig does not rely on things he is told by scientists, who again, apparently, hundreds of them, come together to make the Hadron Collider, but by all accounts, we can't agree on whether or not somebody should live in a country. I
said before, when I explained about the 52 states, of what makes more sense to me in my head, the fact that people have heard the story, or they're telling the story wrong, they go and tell someone else and then it spreads like that, versus we've turned on this big machine that's created an alternate reality, and those timelines have crossed, and that's why something happened and now it appears to be something different. That sounds bonkers to me, whereas my idea and the suggestion makes more sense.
I'm going to go and chat.
That's why I say it's explainable.
All right, I'm going to go and chat to a school teacher that I know, and I'll find out how many states she's been teaching the kids.
Okay.
And if she comes back saying 52, the world's gone wrong.
That doesn't prove anything, though, does it?
Of course it does. It's on the school system.
Yeah, but I couldn't possibly.
Are we saying the complete British school system is wrong?
So you said that is the correct answer is 50.
Well, apparently, according to Google.
So I would expect our school system to be teaching 50.
Okay, so what are you going to do if I speak to my teacher friend and she says 52?
Then I'll go, that's interesting. Why are you teaching that?
Because she's been told to by the government.
Yeah. Okay. And then we've got a case of having a look. But I don't think they would come back and say that it was. I think they'd say 50.
Okay. Right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up.
You're more than welcome to go do that experiment.
I will do that experiment as well. I'm going to get on the phone after, actually, and I'll message her. Right, we're going to wrap this up because let's be honest here, we're never going to get to the end of any of conspiracies that we look into. I think there's no smoke without fire. I do believe that at certain points I will persuade Craig Jones to actually look deeper outside of the manipulation that he's been told of science. And the amount of layers of people's theories that it's actually made up of. But let's for now wrap this one up here again. Craig, it's been a pleasure as always for the last hour and 20 minutes. We've gone on for a bit of a long one here, to be honest, but there was so much to discuss. Ranting around. Next week, what are we going to cover?
Oh, do you know what? I haven't even thought about that. Coming on to it. Have you got any ideas?
There's normally a time in the Discord community, Craig Jones, that you're telling me that my ideas are not, I shouldn't come up with things.
And yes, you're the crazy man on a podcast talking all these crazy ideas.
All right, we'll cover this one early because I think we need to get this out of the way. Because I will say, guys, if you are listening and watching this one back as well, you might want to leave a lot of time for next week's podcast. Moon landings.
Okay, yes, let's do it. Let's
just get it out of the way. Get this one out of the way.
Get it out of your system.
Yeah, get it out of the system. We'll go to the moon landings. Again, be aware you might need to leave 2 hours for next week because it could be a long one. But for now, guys, that's going to wrap this one up. I've been James Parfitt alongside Craig Jones. And as always, conspiracies unknown. We will never know.